Picture this: a hot summer afternoon in Albuquerque, New Mexico, January 12, 1964. In a small hospital room, a baby takes his first breath. Nobody in that room knew that this tiny child would one day reimagine commerce itself, change the way the world shops, and become one of the most powerful figures in modern history. His name, Jeffrey Preston Bezos. The voice fades into soft music, almost like a gentle hum of destiny. Jeff was born to a teenage mother, Jacqueline, who was just 17 at the time. His father, Ted Jorgensen, was only 19. They were kids themselves, struggling to make sense of life, money, and responsibilities. Jeff's early years weren't the picture of wealth and privilege. In fact, they were fragile, uncertain, hanging by a thread. Imagine a teenage mother rocking her infant son in her arms, wondering how to make ends meet. A father distracted, uncertain, not ready to carry the weight of fatherhood. By the time Jeff was just a toddler, his parents' marriage fell apart. His father left, and the little boy's life, though too young to understand, was already marked by instability. But destiny has its ways, and it would introduce Jeff to someone who would become the anchor of his childhood. Miguel Bezos, a Cuban immigrant who had fled his homeland alone as a teenager, escaping the chaos of Castro's Cuba. Miguel married Jeff's mother and adopted Jeff as his own son. From that moment, Jeff took the last name Bezos. Picture young Jeff, a curious boy with deep eyes, being raised in a modest home by Jacqueline and Miguel. His stepfather worked tirelessly as an engineer at Exxon to provide for his family. His mother, supportive and warm, gave Jeff the freedom to explore, and boy, did he explore. From an early age, Jeff wasn't just curious, he was obsessed. Obsessed with how things worked, obsessed with invention. Family members remember little Jeff taking apart his crib with a screwdriver because he wanted to sleep in a real bed. He'd tinker with gadgets, rip apart appliances, and put them back together, sometimes better, sometimes broken, but always learning. One summer when most kids his age were riding bikes or playing baseball, Jeff was out in his grandparents' ranch in Texas, building complex electrical contraptions. He once tried to rig an alarm system to keep his siblings out of his room. Another time he crafted a makeshift science lab in the garage, complete with warning signs. He was different, not just intelligent, but relentless. By the time he reached high school, Jeff was already a straight-A student, known for his laser-sharp focus. At Miami Palmetto Senior High, he fell in love with computers and engineering. Teachers saw something extraordinary in him, a mind that not only understood technology, but could imagine its future. But it wasn't just brilliance that defined Jeff. It was his vision. He once told his classmates that he wanted to build colonies in space where millions of people could live. A teenage boy, already dreaming of galaxies beyond Earth. After graduating as the class valedictorian, Jeff set his eyes on Princeton University, one of the most prestigious schools in the nation. He enrolled to study physics, but soon realized his true passion was in computer science and electrical engineering. At Princeton, Jeff wasn't just another student. He stood out. Professors saw his ability to think beyond the classroom. Friends noticed his unmatched discipline. Well, late nights in the computer lab, endless cups of coffee, stacks of coding papers. Jeff was training his mind like an athlete trains his body. He wasn't chasing grades, he was chasing mastery. And when he graduated in 1986, the world outside was just beginning to feel the first waves of the digital revolution. But here's the thing, Jeff could have chosen the safe route. He had the Ivy League degree, the intellect, the credentials. He could have joined any corporation and lived a comfortable, respectable life. But deep inside, Jeff knew something. Safety was never his dream. The fire inside him burned for risk, for innovation, for building something the world had never seen. Still, the journey wouldn't be easy. The world wasn't waiting to hand Jeff Bezos success. No, it would test him. It would push him into places of doubt, failure, and struggle. But as history would show, that's exactly what greatness needs. And this, the narrator pauses, is where the real story begins, not of a billionaire, not of the world's richest man, but of a young dreamer, ready to step into the unknown. Soft cinematic music swells as the voice closes. This is the beginning of Jeff Bezos' journey. The year was 1986. A young Princeton graduate named Jeff Bezos stepped out of the campus gates with a fresh degree in computer science and electrical engineering. His mind was sharp, his ambitions sharper, but the question hung heavy in the air. Where does a dreamer go when the world isn't yet ready for his dreams? Jeff did what most graduates from prestigious universities did. He entered the corporate jungle. His first job was at a startup called Fattel, a company trying to build a network for international trade. The young Bezos, full of energy, threw himself into the work. His task? To help build a system that could allow bankers in different parts of the world to communicate and execute trades electronically. It was new, it was bold, it was challenging. But in truth, Fattel was too small, too early. The project stumbled, investors grew restless, and Jeff quickly realized the company wouldn't last. Most people would panic. Most would say, maybe I should play it safe. Maybe I should join a big corporation and stop taking risks. But Jeff wasn't most people. Instead, he used the experience as a stepping stone. He joined Bankers Trust and later the hedge fund, D.E. Shaw, one of Wall Street's rising powerhouses. And here, Jeff would find himself in a world he had never known before. The world of money, investment, and high finance. At D.E. Shaw, Jeff stood out immediately. He wasn't just another analyst crunching numbers. He had an uncanny ability to see patterns, to predict where industries might be headed. His boss, David Shaw, saw Jeff's brilliance and gave him enormous responsibility at a young age. Jeff climbed quickly, becoming one of the youngest senior vice presidents in the firm's history. Picture this: Wall Street in the late 80s and early 90s. The trading floors buzzing, phones ringing, screens flashing with green and red numbers. And in the middle of it all, Jeff Bezos, in a sharp suit, glasses slightly tilted, quietly analyzing trends that others missed. He was making a six-figure salary, living in Manhattan, enjoying success that most people would envy. To the outside world, Jeff had made it. A dream job, financial security, a bright future. But deep inside, Jeff felt restless. He wasn't born to just optimize hedge fund algorithms. His childhood dreams of invention, of building something from scratch, kept calling him. He knew he was playing the wrong game. And then, destiny showed up. In 1994, Jeff came across a statistic that changed his life forever. The internet was growing at 2,300% per year. Pause here for a moment. 2,300% per year. Imagine staring at that number. Most people would shrug and move on. But Jeff, he froze. His brain exploded with possibilities. He could see the future unfolding right in front of him. He once recalled that moment in an interview. I'd never seen anything grow that fast, and I knew I had to be part of it. The seed of Amazon was born that very instant. Jeff began making lists, dozens of ideas of what could be sold online. CDs, software, clothes. But one idea stood above the rest. Books. Why books? Because there were millions of titles, far more than any physical bookstore could hold. An online bookstore could carry an infinite shelf. And that idea, simple yet revolutionary, started burning inside Jeff's mind. But here's where the story gets dramatic. Jeff had everything to lose. He had a secure, prestigious job at D.E. Shaw. He had a career path that could make him a millionaire many times over. And walking away from Wall Street to sell books, it sounded insane. Jeff himself admitted it. I told my boss I wanted to quit and start an online bookstore. He took me on a long walk in Central Park and told me I'd be crazy to leave. He said it was a better idea for someone who didn't already have a great job. And here's where we see the essence of Jeff Bezos. He didn't want to live a life of comfort wondering what if. He called it his regret minimization framework. In other words, when he was 80 years old, he didn't want to look back and regret not trying. So in the summer of 1994, Jeff Bezos made one of the boldest decisions of his life. He resigned. He packed up his comfortable Manhattan office, and he decided to chase a dream that had no guarantee. Imagine this scene. Jeff sitting in the passenger seat of a Chevy Blazer, his wife Mackenzie driving, as they head west to Seattle. Jeff typing out his business plan on a laptop in the car. The world around him had no idea, but in that car, history was being written. He would soon set up shop in a garage, a plain garage with concrete floors, a wooden desk, and extension cords everywhere. That garage would become the birthplace of Amazon, a company that would not just sell books, but would eventually rewrite the rules of business, technology, and even human behavior. But at that time in 1994, it was just Jeff, his wife, a handful of friends who believed in him, and a crazy dream. The voice grows quieter, suspenseful. And yet, every empire starts with a leap of faith. This was Jeff Bezos' leap, a leap from Wall Street comfort into the unknown chaos of the internet revolution. The music swells with anticipation. But little did he know, the battles ahead, the failures, the doubts, the sleepless nights would test him more than ever before. Seattle, 1994. A garage, concrete floors, the smell of dust and oil in the air, extension cords running across the ground, and a homemade wooden desk that Jeff Bezos built himself out of a cheap door. This was the headquarters of Amazon.com. Jeff and his tiny team worked day and night, writing code, packaging books, answering emails. They called it the everything store for books. Their dream was simple: to build an online bookstore that carried more titles than any physical store on earth. And then one day, it happened. The first order, a book titled Fluid Concepts and Creative Analogies. The notification came in. A stranger, someone Jeff had never met, trusted his little website enough to buy a book. Jeff was ecstatic. He rang a bell every time an order came in. At first it was 1 bell a day, then 10, then hundreds. Soon the bells were ringing so often they had to stop because they couldn't keep up. Amazon was alive. But behind the celebration was brutal reality. The company was burning cash. The internet was still new, fragile, uncertain. Investors were skeptical. Jeff worked sleepless nights, his voice often hoarse from endless meetings, his eyes red from staring at code and spreadsheets. His wife Mackenzie was by his side, supportive, strong, grounding him when stress consumed him. Employees remember Jeff's laugh, a booming, almost maniacal laugh that echoed through the office. To some it was inspiring, to others it was intimidating. But that laugh symbolized something: unshakable belief. Even when Amazon was bleeding money, Jeff believed. By 1997, Amazon went public. The world began to notice. The little garage startup was suddenly worth hundreds of millions. Jeff, once mocked for leaving Wall Street, was now on the cover of magazines, hailed as a pioneer. But then came the storm, the dot-com bubble. In the late 90s, internet companies skyrocketed in value. Billions of dollars poured into startups with little more than a website and a dream. And just as quickly, it all crashed. The bubble burst, stocks collapsed, giants vanished overnight. Amazon was hit hard. Its stock plummeted by over 90%. Analysts mocked Bezos, calling Amazon a dot bomb. Some said it would be bankrupt within a year. Newspapers predicted its death. Picture Jeff sitting in his office, headlines screaming his failure, investors panicking. The world was doubting him. And yet, Jeff smiled. He told his team, "In the end, we are not a dot-com company. We are a customer company." That was the difference. While others chased hype, Jeff chased customers. He doubled down. He cut costs, restructured, fought tooth and nail to keep Amazon alive. He introduced innovations, customer reviews, personalized recommendations, one-click shopping. Slowly, painfully, Amazon survived when so many others died. And then came the breakthrough. Amazon Prime. A simple idea. Pay an annual fee and get free 2-day shipping on everything. People thought Jeff was insane. Shipping was expensive. How could Amazon possibly make money? But Jeff wasn't playing for the short term. He was building loyalty, trust, habit. Prime changed everything. Customers didn't just shop at Amazon, they lived on Amazon. Then came Kindle. Kindle changed reading. Then came Amazon Web Services, AWS, a cloud computing service that would quietly become one of the most profitable businesses in the world, powering everything from startups to Fortune 500 companies. Each move seemed crazy at the time. Each move became genius in hindsight. By the 2010s, Amazon was no longer a bookstore. It was the store, the everything store. And Jeff Bezos, he was the richest man on earth. But behind the billions, behind the empire, was still a boy who once built alarms in his garage, who once stared at the stars and dreamed of space. That boy had not disappeared. He was still there, dreaming bigger. And that's why Jeff founded Blue Origin, a space exploration company with the motto, Gradatum Ferociter, step by step, ferociously. His dream was the same as when he was 18, to take humanity to the stars, to build colonies in space, to ensure survival beyond Earth. Jeff once said, "We can have both Earth and space. It's not either or. We can protect this beautiful planet while still moving into the solar system." That's the visionary. That's the dreamer. That's the man. But let's not forget Jeff's journey wasn't flawless. He faced criticism for Amazon's tough workplace culture, for decisions that sparked debate. He faced personal struggles, including the end of his 25-year marriage to Mackenzie, who walked away with one of the largest divorce settlements in history. And yet Jeff remained human, flawed, ambitious, restless, relentless. Today, when we look at Jeff Bezos, we don't just see a billionaire. We see a story of risk, of sacrifice, of sleepless nights in a garage, of facing ridicule, of standing firm when the world doubted him. A story that proves one thing: the biggest empires are built by those willing to take the biggest risks. the narrator's voice grows softer, emotional. From a garage in Seattle to the edge of space, from a young boy with a screwdriver to a man reshaping the future of humanity. This is not just Jeff Bezos' journey, it is a reminder that one decision, one leap of faith can change the world. The music swells into a cinematic climax. And so, we leave you with this question. What's the garage in your life? What's that one crazy idea you've been too afraid to chase? Because maybe, just maybe, the world is waiting for your Amazon. Top 100 Success Life Lessons from Jeff Bezos' life. Success is never an accident. It's a collection of choices, sacrifices, and lessons learned along the way. From a dusty garage in Seattle to becoming the world's richest man, Jeff Bezos has given us more than just Amazon. He's given us a playbook of life lessons. Here are 100 timeless success lessons from his extraordinary journey. It's 1. Dream big even when you're young. 2. Curiosity is the fuel of greatness. Never stop asking why. 3. Build, break, and rebuild. That's how invention is born. 4. Don't be afraid to look different. 5. Value imagination as much as intelligence. 6. Every crazy idea is only crazy until it works. 7. Choose long-term regret minimization over short-term comfort. 8. Take risks early in life when you have less to lose. 9. Surround yourself with people who support your vision. 10. Learn from every job, even the ones that fail. 11. Don't chase hype, chase real customer value. 12. If people call you insane, you might be on the right track. 13. Don't optimize for safety, optimize for growth. 14. Make decisions with your heart and your head. 15. Think in decades, not in days. 16. Embrace uncertainty, that's where innovation hides. 17. A garage can be the birthplace of an empire. 18. Start lean, start small, but start anyway. 19. Celebrate every small win, even the first order. 20. Stay stubborn on vision, but flexible on details. 21. Learn to laugh at setbacks. 22. When others panic, stay calm. 23. Focus on what doesn't change. Customers will always want lower prices, faster delivery, and more choice. 24. Invest in loyalty, not just transactions. 25. Make bold bets, but place them smartly. 26. See failure as tuition fees for success. 27. Be relentless about improvement. 28. Obsess over customers, not competitors. 29. Speed matters in business. Act before the world catches up. 30. Use technology to solve real problems. 31. When the crowd doubts you, double down on your belief. 32. Don't fear critics, fear irrelevance. 33. Focus on building habit-forming value. 34. Sacrifice short-term profit for long-term dominance. 35. Learn to work in silence. Let success make the noise. 36. Always have a day one mentality. Stay hungry, stay scrappy. 37. Innovation is messy. Embrace the chaos. 38. Persistence beats genius. 39. Don't quit when the world tells you to quit, only when you know you've lost belief. 40. Think bigger than your business. Think about humanity. 41. Build systems, not just products. 42. If you can't find the perfect desk, build one out of a door. 43. Frugality breeds creativity. 44. Hire people smarter than you. 45. Culture eats strategy. Build it carefully. 46. Be prepared to be misunderstood for a long time. 47. Customers may forgive mistakes, but they never forgive indifference. 48. Don't just listen to data, listen to instincts. 49. Move fast, experiment often, fail cheap. 50. Protect your time like treasure. 51. Be bold enough to disrupt yourself. 52. A leader's laugh can carry strength. 53. Don't manage the present, invent the future. And is 54. Always think, what will matter 10 years from now? 55. Lean into the hard problems. 56. Build loyalty programs that create lifelong customers. 57. Make technology invisible, make value obvious. That's 58. The hardest years are the ones that shape you the most. 59. Ignore noise, focus on signal. 60. Reinvent the wheel if the old one doesn't roll fast enough. 61. Never let temporary failure destroy permanent vision. 62. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. 63. Diversify, don't rely on one product or one stream. 64. Every no brings you closer to a yes. 65. Speed of learning is the ultimate competitive advantage. 66. Don't be afraid to cannibalize your own success. 67. Big ideas often look impossible until they're done. 68. Build something so useful it becomes invisible in daily life. 69. Stay customer obsessed, not competitor obsessed. 70. Invest profits back into the future, not just into luxury. 71. A vision without execution is hallucination. 72. Be ferocious but step by step. 73. Focus on fundamentals, convenience, speed, reliability. 74. Build resilience into your company's DNA. 75. Risk being laughed at today to be respected tomorrow. 76. Accept that success comes with criticism. 77. Learn to pivot without abandoning vision. 78. Guard your core values even when scaling. 79. Time is your most valuable currency. Evil. 80. Don't just create products, create ecosystems. 81. Believe in compounding tiny advantages daily lead to massive impact over decades. 82. Take your customer's problem personally. 83. Simplicity wins. 84. Long-term thinking requires courage. 85. Bet on things that don't change trust, speed, value. 86. Do more with less. 87. Never stop inventing. 88. Treat setbacks like experiments data, not disasters. 89. Scale only what works, cut what doesn't. 90. Play the infinite game, there is no finish line. 91. The bigger your dream, the stronger your spine must be. 92. Listen more than you talk. 93. Fear regret more than failure. 94. Think global, act local. 95. Don't be afraid to start ugly. 96. Obsess over the details customers notice. 97. Stay humble in success, hungry in growth. 98. Make decisions as if your future self is watching. 99. Create value greater than you capture. 100. Leave the world better than you found it. 100 lessons, one man's story. But the truth is, Jeff Bezos' journey is not about Amazon or even billions of dollars. It's about what happens when you dare to chase the impossible. So the question is, which of these lessons will you take with you? And what's the dream you'll refuse to leave behind?